An SUV flips, a parked car gets obliterated, a pickup loses its cargo, and 17 more exclusive dashcam videos await. Hold on tight because you're in for a bumpy ride. This submitter's wife was on her way to get some tacos when a distracted driver turned in front of her. Even though she stood on the brake pedal, she wasn't able to avoid T-boning the Jeep SUV. Our submitter's wife, who was pregnant, was transported to the hospital after this collision. Thankfully, both she and their baby are fine. The impact sent the white Jeep rolling onto its side. Our submitter's Jeep was also heavily damaged, so that's 2 Jeep SUVs likely totaled by this collision. Our submitter told us that, because of the bad driver, I no longer got to eat my tacos. What a tragedy! Eli was killing time reading in his Kia EV6, which was parked on the side of a road in San Diego. Suddenly, the driver of a Hyundai Santa Fe slammed into the back of his Kia at full speed. In case it isn't clear, the other driver crossed a striped safety margin and a bike lane before rear-ending Eli's EV6. The impact shoved it into a Toyota 4Runner and set off the Hyundai driver's airbags. Eli didn't manage to get the other driver's insurance info before paramedics rushed him away. But it turned out he had custom amateur radio operator license plates. Eli was able to Google them and get the guy's info in seconds. This submitter's mother was taking her 4-month-old boxer puppy to get a bath from a dog groomer when she noticed that the pickup truck ahead of her was hauling a mattress and box spring that weren't very well secured. Before she had an opportunity to pass the pickup, the bed went flying out of the bed and she wasn't able to avoid running into the box spring. The pickup driver was very apologetic and accepted full responsibility. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, and so far, the pickup driver's insurance is handling everything. Our submitter asked us to shout out his mother for staying calm and his son Rowan, who enjoys all the Wham Bam channels. Our next submitter admits that what you're about to see was his own fault after he exited a highway at a speed too high for the ramp. Our submitter told us he called the highway patrol, then waited for them to come and take his statement before leaving. He also told us the lesson he learned: slow down. Missing your exit is better than smashing a road sign. Here's another reminder to grab a top-quality dashcam at an unbeatable price. Our favorite dashcam brand Voiceover is running a massive Black Friday sale on Amazon from November 21st through December 2nd with discounts of up to 38% off select models. Looking for front and rear cameras? Get the 2-channel A229 Plus for just $160 or upgrade to the Pro version for $240 to capture every detail in stunning 4K. That's the same dashcam we used in our Dashcam vs Tesla Cam comparison video. There's never been a better time to get one of the best dashcams available for your ride. Links and codes are in the video description, and a huge thanks to Voiceover for their support. Yao's son Kaio was on his way home from school when he noticed that a semi-truck in the other lane wasn't slowing down for an upcoming red light.
Woo! Look at that.
After quickly merging into the left lane, the trucker blew right through the red light. Thankfully, Kaio's decision to leave the truck some extra room meant that no collisions occurred. Yao told us they watch Wham Bam videos together every weekend to teach Kaio what not to do and what to expect while driving. Awesome! Stay safe, Kaio. Harrison was on his way home with his fiancée when they had an insanely close call with a daredevil deer. Harrison swerved one way, then the other in his effort to avoid hitting the deer with his Dodge Ram 2500. Incredibly, he missed it with mere inches to spare. This submitter was driving down a Florida highway when he noticed an SUV in the travel lane was leaving the road. He continued to watch as it barreled along at full speed through the grass. Eventually, the SUV's front wheel snagged a power line anchor cable, spinning the SUV into a pool of water where it finally stopped. Our submitter immediately pulled over, as did other drivers, and police arrived 5 minutes later. The driver of the SUV was the only occupant, and first responders told our submitter the driver had experienced a medical incident. Our submitter shared his dashcam footage before leaving the scene. Matthew was making a left turn into a fast food restaurant parking lot when his Subaru WRX was T-boned by a Honda Civic. Thankfully, the insurance company determined the Honda driver was at fault after they failed to yield to traffic already in the roadway. It also looks like nobody was seriously injured. Manny and his wife were headed to the airport on their way to celebrate their second anniversary when another driver ran a red light and collided with their Dodge Dart. The impact sent the car spinning 180 degrees and crushed the rear wheel into the car, making it undrivable. The trunk also popped open and Manny's wife's pink luggage went flying. The other driver initially fled from the scene, but police caught up with them 10 minutes later after the damage to their vehicle immobilized it as well. Get this. They claimed their phone was dead and they'd been on their way to the police station to report the collision. After the officer watched Manny's dashcam footage, he cited the other driver for hit and run. Mike was about to proceed through a traffic light that had just turned green when an SUV suddenly came flying through, nearly smashing into the car ahead of him. Only by slamming on the brakes was the hatchback driver able to avoid what would have been a brutal high-speed collision. Thankfully, everyone was able to go on their way, as Mike puts it, presumably to change their pants. Our next video is a Tesla behaving badly that really takes the cake. Not only did this Tesla driver cause a collision, they immediately left the scene, probably oblivious to the damage they'd caused. That Tesla man can't drive. As a near constant user of FSD myself, I can tell you with high confidence that the Tesla's human driver almost certainly caused this fender bender. Thankfully, the involved drivers were able to pull over safely. Tim was driving in Calgary when traffic had backed up for a traffic light up ahead, which he told us is common this time of day. Watch what happened when other drivers failed to close the gap for an apartment complex driveway. An oncoming driver turned left across the lanes before colliding with a car illegally driving in the bus lane. Tim wants to know who you think is responsible for this collision, so leave your verdict in the comments below. Sean was in an exit-only lane when the driver ahead of him started cutting out of the lane, then changed their mind and cut back in front of him, now going much slower than before. Watch carefully because it happens fast. Sean knew his brakes wouldn't be enough to prevent a rear-end collision with the Porsche, so he swerved into the shoulder. But a speeding Ford F-250 driver did the same and smashed into Sean's Honda Civic. The work pickup slammed into Sean's car, instantly flattening one of the Ford's front tires and deploying the Civic's airbags. Incredibly, neither driver was seriously injured by the impact. Sean filed an insurance claim and is now waiting to see if his Civic will be repaired or totaled. Patrick was headed to his brother-in-law's house to check out his new MG4 when he approached a roundabout. As he came to a stop to yield to a Peugeot already in the roundabout, the driver of the Toyota on his left sped right on by. The Peugeot driver stood on the brake pedal, coming within inches of T-boning the hasty hatchback. Patrick pointed out that the Toyota driver had to stop at the red light anyway, so this reckless maneuver saved them no time at all. Thor was following behind a semi-truck when the driver began merging right, striking a car that had recently merged into the trucker's blind spot and sending it spinning out of control. The spinning car crossed all lanes of the highway, and only by coming to a stop was Thor able to avoid hitting it. Incredibly, it came to a stop without hitting any other vehicles. Thor stopped and provided copies of his dashcam footage to both parties, no doubt thankful he hadn't run into the out-of-control car himself. This submitter was on his way to work when an oncoming driver turned across his lane and his brakes weren't enough to stop his Kia Niro from sliding into the SUV. Sadly, our submitter's Kia Niro was damaged by the impact. Now he'll be waiting 4 weeks for the repair shop to fix his vehicle, and that won't even start until after an inspection, which he's still waiting for. Check out what happened right in front of Frank as he waited at a traffic light on his way to work. A Jeep driver making an unprotected left turn collided with a white Mercedes after the Mercedes driver ran their red light. Frank isn't sure who would be considered responsible for this collision. It's hard to see when the light changed exactly, but the appearance of a green light facing our submitter gives us an indicator that the Mercedes light must have been red by the time it entered the intersection. This video comes from a completely different Frank, who spotted a construction worker in a reflective vest crossing the street in front of him one night, but the driver of a Dodge Challenger didn't seem to notice him. It's unclear why the guy was crossing the street here, but what is obvious is that the Charger driver definitely should have given the pedestrian a bit more room. It doesn't look like he even tried to slow down. The Charger continued speeding off into the distance without the driver ever touching the brakes. Thankfully, this scary incident was only a close call. This submitter was on his way to pick up his son from camp when he noticed traffic ahead of him was stopped. As he merged right to go around it, he suddenly got the feeling that something was about to go terribly wrong. Actually, his exact words to us were, "I have seen enough Wham Bam Dashcam to know this was going to end badly." A pickup truck T-boned a Hyundai as it turned across the highway, deploying airbags in both vehicles. Our submitter stopped to check on both drivers and told us they weren't injured. He also wanted to shout out his family for tolerating his dashcam obsession. Hey, that's a great obsession to have. Caden was on his way home from some after-work shopping when he spotted the first double rainbow he's ever seen. The outer one is pretty faint in his dashcam footage, so let's see if we can boost it a little. Much better. Wow, double rainbow all the way! Thanks for the video, Caden, and thanks for being a Patreon supporter. Watch this video next if you want to see more terrible truckers, and you'll get to see what happens when a tanker turns across traffic when it isn't clear. Or watch this video to see another SUV get flipped onto its side after a speeding car smashes into it.
Wham, bam, we got a Patreon man. Please support the show.